In the mid-1990s, specifically 1994-95, my parents completed the construction of their beautiful home just outside Rørvik. The picturesque location was surrounded by ancient Viking graves, contributing to the area's rich historical significance. Our nearest neighbor was an imposing burial mound from the Viking Age, serving as a constant reminder of the area's deep-rooted past. During this period, I made a conscious decision to distance myself from my previous spirit guides, and instead found solace and peace in Jesus to help me cope with the unsettling nightly encounters with the nearby graves. Despite my father's continued hurtful treatment, my mother, who had previously practiced witchcraft, sought solace in her old Bible. Unfortunately, she didn't intervene to stop my father's mistreatment of me. Meanwhile, my brother, who had married and settled in Tromsø, kept his distance, believing that I was trying to take his mother's affection away. This perception was reinforced by my father, who repeatedly told me to stay out of the way so that my brother could feel his mother's affection without my interference. Despite not identifying as Christian, I felt a deep affection for Jesus, but struggled to understand how to express it. I didn't face this dilemma when I was young and heeded my grandmother's teachings. Back then, my love for Jesus felt genuine and effortless. However, my father, a lapsed zealous Catholic, often criticized non-Catholic Christians, causing me to question the simplicity of my faith. I began to ponder whether my affection for Jesus was genuine, especially in the face of conflicting opinions. Moreover, I grappled with the concept of embracing Christianity while avoiding my father's judgmental tendencies toward other Christians who didn't express their love for Jesus in the same manner. Returning to New Age practices wasn't an option for me, so I turned to Zen Buddhism as the only viable solution. Embracing Zen Buddhism allowed me to reconcile my love for Jesus and my dedication to reading the Bible while finding effective ways to cope with abusive parents and a brother who had rejected me. Practicing as a Jesus-loving Zen Buddhist felt fulfilling, but delving deeper into the Bible raised profound questions that Zen Buddhism couldn't address. I grappled with fundamental inquiries like the existence of God, the truth of the Bible, and the challenging concept of a loving God allowing my father's hurtful actions. Furthermore, my own strained relationship with my father made it almost impossible for me to love God as a father figure. In the late 1990s, I experienced a profound spiritual calling to legally change my name from Nikolai to Orn. This decision was deeply rooted in my belief that Jesus was guiding me toward a transformative, symbolic act. I felt that by shedding the name Nikolai, I could sever the ties to a past marred by abuse, rejection, and emotional coercion. Nikolai bore the scars of paternal abuse, suffered from familial rejection, and was influenced by his mother's immersion in the New Age movement. Embracing the name Orn marked a pivotal moment of personal liberation and renewal, signaling a departure from the traumas associated with Nikolai's identity. As a minor, I found myself in a situation where I needed to seek my parents' approval to legally change my name. While my mother was understanding and supportive of my decision, my father's reaction was quite different. He felt personally insulted and saw my desire to change my name as a rejection of his authority. This issue was particularly sensitive because Nikolai was his choice for my name, while my mother had initially wanted to name me Benjamin. When I further announced my decision to take a gap year instead of attending high school, my father's frustration and disapproval reached a boiling point, resulting in an explosive outburst of anger. I vividly remember one of the rare occasions when my mother stood up to my father. Despite his narcissism, he was fearful of losing my mother's love. She intervened and convinced him to sign the papers for my name change. Although she couldn't persuade him to allow me to take a gap year, we reached a compromise. I would study high school at home with him as my personal tutor. This arrangement proved to be incredibly challenging as his anger and belittling of me worsened. He began treating me as his student all the time instead of his son. I found myself in the position of being a student who dared question his authority and had to suffer the consequences of it. As the years passed, my faith as a Jesus-loving Zen Buddhist played an integral role in how I coped with the complexities of my family dynamics. The emotional distance between my father and me continued to grow, while my mother, who had privately embraced Christianity, increasingly turned to me for emotional support amid my father's ongoing verbal abuse and emotional detachment. This tumultuous environment led me to gradually view them not as my parents, but as individuals in need of profound healing and understanding. By viewing them not as my parents, but as individuals in need of profound healing and understanding, I no longer expected them to fulfill the role as mother and father because I knew by now they were no longer capable of that. When I did not expect him to do the impossible, then it became easy to forgive them, but also easy for me to make the necessary decisions to protect myself from further abuse. Drawing on the teachings of Zen Buddhism and my deep love for Jesus, I underwent a transformative shift in perception. I began to see myself less as their son and more as a companion to Jesus, feeling his unconditional love and support. Knowing I had a heavenly Father who genuinely cared for me provided immense comfort during this tumultuous period. I recognized that Jesus understood my struggle to reconcile my earthly father's behavior with the concept of a loving heavenly Father, and I found solace and strength in this realization. In 1998, a powerful sense that I attribute to a message from Jesus prompted me to make the decision to leave my family home. Upon hearing about my intention to depart, my father endorsed the idea, believing that it would allow him to have my mother all to himself. This development left me pondering my next move. It was then that my older brother, who was residing in Tromsø, suggested that I relocate there in order to reconnect with him. Intrigued by the prospect of rebuilding our bond, I made the life-altering decision to move to Tromsø, where I sought to not only re-establish a connection with my brother but also to pursue a career driving trucks for a local company. I never realized at the time that my 7-year-older brother was still struggling with unresolved feelings of jealousy and inadequacy towards our mother's affection. He believed that I was born with the intention of stealing our mother's affection, making it impossible for him to embrace the idea of reconnecting with me. This unexpected emotional complexity added another layer of complication to my already significant life change. Additionally, my time in Tromsø took an unexpected turn when I underwent a profound spiritual transformation, transitioning from being a Jesus-loving Zen Buddhist to a Jesus-loving Pentecostal Christian.